Okay, so picture this. It's 2026. These things called DAOs, or decentralized organizations, are managing billions of dollars. And they're making huge decisions entirely through code. But what happens when that code, the very thing that governs them, is flawed?
You know, this quote from our source, the War Library, really just gets right to the heart of it. In a DAO, a vote isn't just a suggestion, it's an executed order. It can literally move millions, rewrite the rules, or even shut the whole thing down in an instant. There's no human in the middle to say, hey, are you sure about this?
And right there, that direct power, that's a massive vulnerability. Because if that voting machine is badly designed, it can be captured. This is what the War Library calls governance capture. It's basically a modern bloodless coup. You're not storming a castle with soldiers, you're just exploiting the code.
So, how do you defend a digital kingdom like that? Well, today we're going to break down the super high-stakes game of designing a DAO's voting system. And this isn't just some abstract theory, right? This is about building a real fortress against hostile takeovers. Think of this as a strategic briefing, drawing straight from the War Library's analysis. We're going to dive into the whole arsenal of voting mechanisms, all the weapons and defenses being used right now in the ongoing battle for decentralized control.
All right, let's kick things off with the foundational weapon in the DAO arsenal. It's the one almost everyone starts with, and, well, it's also the one with the most glaring flaw. We're talking about token-weighted voting. The logic here is pretty straightforward. It's borrowed right from the corporate world. One token gets you one vote. Simple. The idea is all about having skin in the game. The thinking goes, if you have the most money at risk, you should get the biggest say, because you've got the most to lose if things go sideways.
And this is where you really see the problem. The power imbalance is just stark. Look at this chart. The dynamic is completely linear. A whale, one entity with 1 million tokens, has the exact same voting power as 10,000 minnows put together. You can see how one person can just dominate the entire conversation easily.
And that, right there, leads us straight to the whale problem. When a few rich wallets can control every vote, you get what's called plutocratic capture. It makes everyone else feel like, why even bother voting if my voice is just a mathematical whisper? Now, to fight this, modern DAOs have some countermeasures, like snapshotting, which stops attackers from borrowing a ton of tokens just for a single vote, and capped power, which uses math to kind of soften a whale's overwhelming influence.
So, if raw capital is the problem, what's the solution? The next weapon in our arsenal is this really elegant mathematical fix designed specifically to neutralize the whale. It's called quadratic voting.
Quadratic voting, or QV, it's all about measuring how much you care about something, not just that you support it. And it does this by creating a kind of mathematical tax on your votes, making it exponentially more expensive to buy more and more influence. So here's how the math actually works. Check out how the cost scales. Your first vote costs you 1 token. Easy enough. But if you want to cast a second vote on the same issue, that'll cost you 4 tokens. A third vote costs 9. See the pattern? Your 10th vote on something costs 100 tokens. It creates this massive diminishing return on wealth. A whale with 10,000 tokens can only buy 100 votes, while 100 different people with just 1 token each can come together and cast those same 100 votes.
But here's the catch, and it's a big one. By solving the money problem, QV creates an identity problem. If 100 real people are more powerful than one rich person, what's to stop that one person from just creating 100 fake digital identities? That's the Sybil attack. And really, the only defense against it is something called Proof of Personhood, systems that try to verify that one wallet actually equals one unique human being.
So we've looked at money as power and an identity as power, and they both have their pros and cons. But what if we're missing another crucial factor? What if the most important ingredient for good governance is time?
I mean, think about it. Traditional voting is always this mad dash to a deadline. It creates a ton of stress, and it really favors the people who can mobilize super quickly. But what if we could design a system that rewards patience, a system that rewards long-term commitment instead?
And that brings us to conviction voting. The best way to think about it is like a battery. You stake your tokens on a proposal you really believe in, and your voting power, your conviction, it slowly charges up over time. So the longer you commit to an idea, the more powerful your voice becomes. It's a direct defense against so-called speculative governance by players who are just in it for the short term.
What's so powerful here is the stability this model creates. It gives you a constant, real-time pulse of what the community is feeling instead of just a single snapshot in time. And it's naturally anti-rating.
An attacker can't just buy up a ton of tokens and take over, because all that new money starts with exactly zero conviction. It has to earn its influence over time, just like everyone else.
Okay, so we've seen how these different weapons work, right? One's based off capital, one on identity, and one on time. And the war library is crystal clear on this. Betting everything on just one of them is a fatal mistake. So now, let's see how they get combined into a modern, resilient defense strategy.
And this is really the core thesis of the whole thing. There's no single perfect weapon. Every single system we've talked about has a vulnerability. Token voting is a playground for the rich. Quadratic voting can be fooled by fake identities. Conviction voting is slow. The solution isn't to pick one, it's to build a modular stack of tools.
And this table is a perfect practical example of how it all works. You just match the tool to the job. For a super high-risk decision, like changing the core code, you might use token-weighted voting, but with a crazy high threshold for approval. For community grants, quadratic voting is great for gauging what the broad community actually wants. Long-term treasury decisions, conviction voting is perfect. And for low-risk, day-to-day stuff, you can use something called optimistic governance, which basically just approves things unless someone objects.
This multi-layered approach is what leads to what our source calls the augmented DAO. It has a modular defense, so if one part gets compromised, it doesn't bring the whole house down. And looking to the future, it even starts to bring in human-AI synergy, using automated agents to scan proposals for hidden threats that a human might totally miss.
Ultimately, this is where it's all headed. It's not about replacing human decision-making. It's about enhancing it. It's a fusion of our collective will with the kind of precision and security that only really well-designed machines can give us.
Because at the end of the day, the goal isn't just to vote, it's to coordinate, effectively and securely. So the real question to leave you with is this: is your organization built to be unstoppable?